Hello and welcome back, fans of MTG Burgeoning, or welcoming back fans of card sorting burgeoning. Here you are. You clicked on another video of Tales of MTG Burgeoning, and I appreciate you doing that because everyone's got their stories, but they're only stories if someone listens to them. And if you are looking for the story of a deck tech or the story of a reward series, this is not going to be the video for you. In this video, we're just going to sit around, we're going to sort out some cards that need to get put away, and we're just going to reflect on some old school Magic memories and nostalgia. And the last time that we left off, we were talking about Burgeoning's LGS EDH League play. And I was able, if you did listen to that last video, I was able to find an old score sheet, and this bad boy, we're going back to 2015 for this score sheet. And I'll tell you, some of the things on here, I honestly don't even remember. I don't even know what to say about that, other than, well, it is what it is. It was 6 years ago, folks. All right, so the Commander 2015 score sheet for the LGS EDH League went as follows. In the point of, whoops, wait a second, Skyshroud Claim, you wish you were blue. I bet every blue mage wishes it was too. All right, so the category was, there's a category name, and then there's like how many points you get. So the first category name is called I'm Too Young to Die. And with this category, if you eliminated a player before their 5th turn, see, I was pretty close about that. I said 4th or 5th. I wasn't sure exactly which one it was. If you eliminated a player before their 5th turn, you lost 4 points. And I know I've seen it in the past where players would go after the end of their pods and say, how many points did you get? The owner would ask, and they say -6, -8, -7, minus something, and it might have been because you lost 4 points for eliminating a player before their 5th turn. So that was the I'm Too Young to Die category. All right, so the next category after that was called Too Many Options, and this has to do with the Soul Ring or Mana Crypt play that would happen before the 5th turn of the game. So how it worked is, no, Baron, you're over here. So how it would work is if you cast a Soul Ring or a Mana Crypt on your 1st turn, you lost 5 points. If you cast it on your 2nd turn, you would lose 4 points. And then if you cast it on your 3rd turn, you would lose 3 points. Your 4th turn, you would lose 2 points. And then on your 5th turn, you would lose 1 point. And by that way, you kind of kept people, gripping their cards a little tighter, kind of rethinking from a league point standpoint if you really wanted to cast these Soul Rings and Mana Crypts in the early portions of the game for fear of losing too many points. I mean, the points is what got you to the Invitational, and the Invitational is what got you the sweet, sweet prizes. The store credit was nice here and there, but it was nothing compared to some of these store prizes. So that was Too Many Options. Another losing points category was called Not a Safe Place. And Not a Safe Place was be the instigator of wrecking one or more players' mana bases in part or in full. And what that meant was do not go after players' lands. If you were playing land destruction, you were playing with fire as it came to points. And anyone that did that to any player would get -2. I believe if I remember correctly, because we're going back some years now, I believe it was okay to target 1 land. You were allowed 1 land of destruction, and then anything after that, you were losing 2 points each time for each opponent. So if you destroyed one opponent's lands, if you destroyed 2 lands of an opponent 2 times, you were losing 4 points for that. And that adds up pretty quickly if you're trying to get into that invitational. So that was one of those minus points. Another one, and this one, I'm surprised I forgot when we were talking about this during the last video. I'm actually surprised that I didn't remember this one and all the times that people were calling for clock with certain players. So this one was called Too Many Sequels, and you lost a point if your turn took 6 minutes or more, or you took more than 2 turns in a row. And that, I can't believe I forgot that rule, because that's a great way to make sure that a table isn't holding a player hostage. And I kind of reflect back to how the old Krenko player used to hold a table hostage by taking these ridiculously long turns, accumulating all of these resources that could have wiped the board clean, but then choosing to just kind of keep toying around with the entire table. He would be one that would have the clock called on him constantly. I remember that now. Sad I didn't remember it at the time we were talking about it, because it was a pretty weekly occurrence where someone was clocking a time, or was clocking a turn, checking to see how long it was taking to complete that turn. Craziness. And those were the only ways you would lose points. Now, there were a lot of ways to gain points, of course, because, I mean, you're trying to gain some points to get into the Invitational at the end of the year. And some of the ways you would gain points, like I said the last time, if you killed a player with your commander, you know, the lethal commander damage, you would earn a point. Plus 1 point for killing a player with your commander. You would get 1 point if you were the player that cast your commander the most in a game. So I remember nailing that one before when we were talking about it last time. You would gain 1 point if you were the player to introduce the Monarch to the game. And that was a big deal, because Monarch is just awesome. It's a great mechanic. I was so happy that it came back in Commander Legends. It just encourages amazing gameplay interaction through combat and politics, and Monarch is just an awesome mechanic, and that was a good one, because there was a lot of people that would want to play with Monarch just to get that free point. I remember doing that. Oh yeah, just playing with what was that dude's name? Was it the Palace Jailer? Is that the maybe not the Palace Jailer? I'm trying to think. Was it the Regal Behemoth? It was someone. I don't know. It was such a long time ago. I don't remember. But yeah, definitely with the Monarch, you get a point. If you killed an opponent on their turn, you would get a point. So if you were able to do something to kill opponents on their own turns, you would get a point. That would probably, you know, lend to some kind of, what are you doing over here? That would kind of lend to some kind of maybe direct damage ability, or you're able to cast some spells with Flash through Vidalcan Orrery or Leyline of Anticipation. That was another way. You would get 1 point, which was called Aggro is an Archetype, which says if you deal 10 or more damage to each opponent in a single turn, so if you deal 10 damage, at least 10 or more damage to each of your opponents on the same turn, you got a whole point. Like, really? Just 1 point for that? It seems a little, I mean, you got a whole table full of opponents there for just 1 point, but those were the rules. What else here? There was one called Headshot. You got 1 point if you brought an opponent's life total to exactly 0. And I can attest to absolutely trying to do that. I've done it before. I've tried to get opponents right down to 0 to get that extra point. And sometimes it would backfire. And I'm sorry to say, I ended up stopping to do that, because I thought to myself, you know what, flirting with 1 point here it was something else. That one and I, we conflicted with that one a bunch. So let's see. I talked about the Suicide Bomber last time. If you eliminated every player at the same time during the same turn, you got a point. The next one was called Copyright Infringement, and that was if you, let's see, kill an opponent with a permanent they own. So most likely than that, you were probably snagging someone else's commander and then sending in commander damage as a way in which to eliminate someone with their own permanent, and then getting the copyright infringement point. Another point, and this one was a little bit strange, was Play of the Night. And Play of the Night was players within the same pod would vote on what was the best play of the game, and whoever was the instigator of the best play of the game would win the 1 point for play of the night. So sometimes it was very obvious, other times there was some politicking involving, saying, you know, I need so and so many points in order to try to make the invitational, can I get this? That one, I think that one eventually phased out, if I remember correctly. If I can find any more of the sheets, I'll definitely let you know in future episodes. We're almost done with what we've got here. You would get 2 points for a category called Worst Kind of Person. And the worst kind of person was convince an opponent to spare you and then eliminate that person before your next end step. So I guess that I can't imagine that that's going to be one of those that's going to be held with highlight and good memories. If you're, you know, you're entering into a political agreement with an opponent saying, if you can spare me or not do this to me, similar to what they do on, game nights through the command zone, and then you turn around, break that, and then stab the person right in the heart and say, you're dead. I can't imagine you're going to be able to engage in any more further politics with that opponent for the rest of your EDH league career. So that was the worst kind of person. Next up was deal with it. And deal with it, you would get a point if someone complained about one of your plays. That's pretty much what it says. If someone complained about one of your plays by saying, hey, no, wait, stop, do this instead, and then you still do it anyways, you get a point. That one, nah, it was a little bit weak, albeit I'll admit. I mean, I didn't come up with these, so I can't really claim to be the driving force behind any of these point getters, but it was in the league. That's what it was. And the last ones were worth it. You take out an opponent knowing it would cause you to lose. So you would get 1 point if you killed an opponent and maybe you left yourself so vulnerable to the crackback from another opponent that you lost anyways. You would get a point for that. And of course, first blood, you would get a point. Whoever did the first damage of the game, you would get a point. And the last point was called medic. And medic was, if you increase an opponent's life total by more than 4 points, you would earn 1 point. And those were the score sheets. Those were the ways that you would gain or lose points during the Commander League EDH season of 2015. And folks, this is MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things Magic.